Alright, there's one other piece to factoring trinomials that the textbook talks about, and it's called factoring by substitution, which sounds really scary, and these problems look ridiculous. It's a skill you'll need in college algebra. So this is what they're going to look like, and I'll show you that they're really not that bad. When you have a binomial within a trinomial, which already sounds kind of crazy, a substitution can help. And if you know your degree plan and you need to take calculus, if you have to go that far, there is substitution in calculus very similar to this. So it's 3 steps, not too bad. The first thing is you make the substitution. I call this sub out. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that binomial out of the equation and you'll sub them back in later. It's kind of like basketball players or football. Well, football players might not do this as much. Basketball players switch in and out a lot. They sub out, sub in during a game. So you're going to sub out. Then you're going to factor completely, which is what we were just practicing, and then you're going to sub back in. So you're going to put that binomial back in and clean it up. So sub it back in and clean it up. So this is going to look really, really weird, but I'll walk you through it. It's not so bad. So example 1. If I have, in parentheses, a plus 4 squared plus 7, parentheses, a plus 4, plus 12. Right away, that looks insane. You have binomials within a trinomial. Terms within terms, it's a little crazy. But if you notice, this binomial is a minus 4. And this binomial is also a minus 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that binomial out of the expression. We're going to sub out. What we're going to replace it with is x. We're going to say x equals a plus 4. So instead of having a plus 4, we're going to sub it out and put an x in its place. So instead of a plus 4 squared, we're just going to have x squared. Plus 7, again, instead of a plus 4, we're just going to write x, and then plus 12. So we're going to take that binomial out, clean it up with x's, so much easier to look at. Now we're going to factor what we have. This is very easy to factor. The leading coefficient's 1, there's no GCF, we make a quick table, 1 times 12 is 12, b is 7. Those two magic numbers are 3 and 4. I'm going to go ahead and work the whole thing, although in this one you could skip to the end. Factor by grouping. And you get x plus 4 times x plus 3. Normally, we would be done because that's our back-to-back binomial. The problem is we started with the letter a, now we have the letter x. So we have to remember step 3. Step 3 gets forgotten about. We have to sub back in what we took out. So we have to sub in. When we see x, we need to replace that with a plus 4. Here where we see x, we need to replace that with a plus 4. We need to sub those back in to our answer. So let me try to use 2 colors here to make it nice and clear. You're going to have, instead of x, you're going to have in parentheses a plus 4. Parentheses are crucial just in case you have to do any multiplying or subtracting. Then we're going to have the plus 4 that was already there. So again, I'm making the substitution back in. And then over here, again, where I saw x, I'm going to sub in a plus 4. and then whatever was already there is still there. Now that's kind of a mess, and we need to clean that up. So you sub back in, and then you got to clean that up. Luckily, there's no subtracting or multiplying going on here. So the a plus 4 can kind of drop the parentheses, a plus 4, and then another plus 4. Same thing here, there's no multiplying, no subtracting, so we're safe to drop the parentheses, a plus 4 plus 3. Then we just have to clean that up into a plus 8 and a plus 7. So these answers look a little different and take a lot more work. You got to sub out, factor, and then the most important part, sub back in to get down to a simplified answer. So that's a little crazy. Let me give you one to try. It takes up a lot of space, so I'm going to start another page. And I recommend pausing the video, doing as much as you can, and then unpausing the video. Let me give you another one. So example 2. If we have parentheses 5x plus 1 squared plus 8 times 5x plus 1 plus 7. And we're going to try to factor it. Now be careful. The x's are already in the equation, so I don't want to use x again when I sub out. When I sub out, I want to pick another letter. Y, A, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say y. So I'm going to say y equals 5x plus 1. You need to pick a different letter for the sub out so that you know you had a different letter. You don't want to use the same letter. It doesn't make sense and it will confuse you in the middle. So choose a different letter when you sub out. If there's already an x, pick another letter like y or z or t or some other letter. So go ahead and pause, see if you can work this out to the end, and then play back to see how you did. Alright, so we're going to sub out. Everywhere we see 5x plus 1, we're going to take it out and put a y. So this really becomes y squared plus 8y plus 7. That is very easy to factor. Quick chart. Trying to get to 7 and 8, which is just 1 times 7. So that would be y squared plus 1y plus 7y plus 7. We'll do our quick grouping, y times y plus 1 plus 7 times y plus 1. That gives me y plus 7 and y plus 1. You could have used the shortcut for this one because the leading coefficient was 1. So there's your back-to-back binomials. Wish we were done, but we're not. We have to sub back in. So we took it out. Now we have to sub back in. So everywhere I see y, I have to put 5x plus 1 back in its place. Luckily, there's no subtracting or multiplying here, so it's a little bit easier. This will be 5x plus 1 plus 7 times, again, here's a y, so I'm going to put 5x plus 1 plus 1. Ooh, not there, there. So color helps here, so you can really see where you made your substitution. Now because there's no distributing and there's no subtracting, you're safe to just drop the parentheses. You should get 5x plus 8 and 5x plus 2 as a final answer. Alright, let's just do one more, a little bit more involved. This time let's do 3 times x plus 1 squared minus 7 times x plus 1 minus 20. So you'll notice these right away when you've got parentheses around them. Sometimes they use other letters like a or y or some other letter. Here they used x plus 1. So when I sub out, I want to pick a different letter. This is y just for simplicity. So I'm going to take x plus 1 out, and I'm going to sub in a y. Again, you can pause the video and try this for yourself, or just follow along. This is going to be 3y squared minus 7y minus 20. No GCF, so we'll jump straight to our table. It's going to be negative 60 and negative 7, which the pair, I believe, is negative 12 and positive 5. If you don't know your multiples, remember you've got that calculator to help you out. So we're going to split the middle term. That's 3y squared minus 12y plus 5y minus 20. Then we'll group 3y times y minus 4 plus 5 times y minus 4. So that is 3y plus 5 times y minus 4. Wish we were done, but we have y's and we started with x's, so we need to sub back in. And even I forget that sometimes, so just really make a note of if you've got different letters than you started with, you've got to sub back in. Move the camera so you can see it. Alright, so when we sub back in, just where we see y, we're going to replace it with parentheses x plus 1. So that 3, let me use two different colors again. That 3 is still there. And then I have x plus 1 in parentheses, and then plus 5. Here I just have y, so that's a little bit easier. I'm just going to put x plus 1, and then minus 4. So look at that carefully and see that the y was substituted back out. Substituted back in, excuse me, x plus 1. Now anytime you have a coefficient on your variable, you've got to distribute. So that's going to become 3x plus 3 and then plus 5. And this one's not as bad. It'll be x plus 1 minus 4. For a final answer of 3x plus 8 and x minus 3. So these are a little bit more involved. It's not a huge focus for this class. I really just want you to get good at factoring. But you will be using this technique in college algebra, and I want you to be familiar with this substitution method of taking something out, working with it more simplified, and then putting that something back in at the end. So just be aware that that will come up when you get to college algebra. And that is it for your review for factoring trinomials. If you need more practice, just go online.